I started my career at the National Central Bank. This was back in my home country in Malaysia, and that's how I get my, so to say, that initiation into the banking and insurance industry. It's really close to home for me because as an international student in the US, I learned a tad bit too late about the importance of building credit from day one.
Being a student, the most difficult thing is to manage your financial expenses. There are a lot of students who need some sort of financial support when they are studying by their own. So, Ain Razali, during her MBA, she faced the same problem. And guess what? This problem made her an entrepreneur. She's a fintech entrepreneur, and with that, she is running a very newly launched startup. We will going to discuss the whole aspects of her startup, and we welcome Ain Razali today you on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Arham. It's a pleasure to be here just to talk to you.
The pleasure is all mine, Ain, and I'm very glad that you came on our podcast. So do let me know, like how the revolution in Southeast Asia fintech evolved you as a person, and why you decided to launch your own fintech platform. Like, what was the driving force behind it? I have mentioned some of in the introduction, but as an guest, as a problem solver, you can tell us better.
I'm happy to share. This has a lot to do with my professional background as well. So, I started my career at the National Central Bank. This was back in my home country in Malaysia. And that's how I get my, so to say, that initiation into the banking and insurance industry. So, started doing policy setting, infrastructure development, and I was part of the team who build and modernizes the payment systems in the country. So Malaysia, for example, embarked on the real-time retail payments project. This was back in 2017, 2018. Of course, from that time, the country or even the region itself has gone through like leaps and bounds of development. As we can see today, that they are talking, the ASEAN region is talking about cross-border real-time payments. And of course, we have things like Project Nexus, and even today, ASEAN is talking to counterparts such as India to enable that. So it's a very exciting time.
That is super awesome. And whenever we are working in any particular organization, especially you work in Grab as well, which is one of the most prestigious institution, right? So, like, how was the experience, and what was the key takeaways you have taken from that particular organization? Because when you are working in such a prestigious institution, you learn a lot of things. So, what are some key takeaways which is helping in your entrepreneurial journey?
I love this question. In fact, many people have often come to me and ask about, how different it is going from a big organization such as central bank to a tech company. So it's very different. Just start off with like the culture. So we have like big established organizations such as banks, right? And then you go to a tech company where they're very nimble, they're very agile. So there are some things that I need to unlearn and relearn, but I see that as a strength because I've had experience on both sides of the table. So, I learned to put up like a proposal for, say, if we were looking at and a Sharia compliant e-wallet. And this was something I need to quickly put together for a discussion with the management on, I think it was like fifth day of me joining the company. And, back then I would think that, oh, don't we need, some time to just sort of like a gestation period. We need to work on this, go back like to the drawing board or something like that. But really, it's the pace at which things are moving. And it's really about ensuring that we are not losing out on the first mover advantage. So I find that in the private sector, this is a very, very important aspect. And from then on, I would say that you would have to choose your battles. There are some things that you can afford more time. Perhaps you have the grace period to work on something to let it brew for a little, but then there's other instances where you have to move like you have to be on your feet.
You came from Malaysia to USA for study purpose, doing your MBA. And during your studies, you faced a lot of financial challenges, and that's why you became an entrepreneur. So, like, what was the driving force? I want to know in details. You have created this platform, SmartFin, which is very new idea for students. They can get loans. So, like, what was the driving force, and how SmartFin is uniquely different from other platforms?
I mean, coming to the US, I arrived fall of 23, just fresh, ready to embark on my MBA at Cornell. And it has been a tremendous 2 years. And one of the highlight is really to build my own startup from scratch. So I have the opportunity as part of the curriculum to work on, they call it like a student-led project, and it was part of our studio syllabus at Cornell Tech, which is the tech campus. And this is something that, it hits really close to home for me because as an international student in the US, I learned a tad bit too late about the importance of building credit from day one. I only got my first job summer 2024 for my internship. So then I started getting, my SSN, and then I started building my credit. But then fall 2024, I moved from Ithaca to New York City, and I realized that, oh, wait a minute, it's very critical to have credit and of course on good standing for simple things like maybe background checks for rental and stuff like that, right? But I learned a little bit too late, but it is a very valuable lesson nonetheless. So that's how my story with SmartFin started. So SmartFin really is it's a closed loop mobile app payment that uses predictive analysis to enable students to make payments in smaller instances. So take Cornell, for example. We have an existing infrastructure. It's like an e-wallet on campus. It's called the Big Red Box. So this is, I don't know if you can see it. It's my student ID. So it's just a stored value card, right? Where I can put, say, like, I don't know, $50 or something. And then I go to Cornell store and I get a textbook, right, for $40. I have the option of paying in full if I have the funds. But most often than not, as students, having been through it myself, there are unexpected expenses. And all these things adds up. So if I have the chance to actually break down the payment into maybe say 4 installments, that would definitely help me to defray my expenses. So that's the whole business model of SmartFin.
I want to know that SmartFin use AI solutions, and what are the main criteria? Like, which states you are currently targeting, or which universities you are currently targeting, so that students can apply for loans, so that they can fulfill their financial needs. So, do you have any hierarchy?
So the way that SmartFin works with AI is that, we're harnessing the existing information, the transactional data, the behavioral data from the e-wallet on campus. So we're talking about everyday expenses for like food, beverages, student supplies, books, things like that. That's happening around campus, and this is a staggering market, right? And we use this to actually whitelist a certain group of students, and that would mean that they will be eligible to some degree of credit, some degree of microcredit that they can then use. And of course, discussing credit for students always demands, I would say, some sort of like security mechanism to ensure that there's no instances of moral hazard, because another area that we're trying to guard from is indebtedness, right? This is a real issue. So a study from US News showed that 46% of students with credit card ended up being in debt. This is like almost like half. This is very worrying. So we're very intentional, very aware, as we come into this space, not wanting to perpetrate the issue further. So we build safeguards around it. For example, when we say that it is a closed loop, so it's intended to be used in and around campus. Of course, at those establishments within the school vicinity, so as not to, encourage like all these unscrupulous spendings and things like that. And then there's also a mechanism to ensure that, we are helping students to establish the discipline to meet their installment payments. So, if there's like any arrears, they won't be able to further use it until and unless they actually clear the balances. So then it becomes sort of like I would say like a carrot mechanism, right? That you have to keep up, a certain discipline with your payments in order for you to actually use the facility that would help you to manage your everyday expenses.
Data gathering is the most important thing nowadays, but there are a lot of tools that they can provide you data, but alternate data change can change your financial identity, and I hope this is changing your identity. So like, what are the methodologies from which you guys are scrapping data, authentic data, for your platform, because data gathering is the most important thing in a developing phase.
You brought up very, very important um, aspects, especially when we're talking about like sensitive data, like financial, personal information and things like that. We have to always be very, very careful. So this is also another aspect that, differentiates SmartFin. We are very proud to work with partners. So the way that we are working right now, we are in partnership with the schools themselves. And just for the sake of example, I'm using Cornell again because I am a Cornell alum. So we work with the school itself in order for us to actually access the student data. And what we're providing is the payment system that is fed through the school system because it is meant for use within the school vicinity, right? So it's not meant to be taken like outside or anything like that. The data stays with we are only using, so say for example, I mentioned about the e-wallet transactions. So that today is taking place at Cornell, where students are actually spending with the big red bucks to make expenses around campus. And that's literally the kind of payment transaction data that we are using to do our credit risk assessment. So we are providing the credit risk assessment capability to the school and its payment service provider that previously was not available. So we are very proud of the fact that we are bringing this solution to help the students address their pain points by working together with the strategic partners like universities. And another aspect would be we are working with the credit bureaus. So then students can actually use this payment facility to build their credit, because today you would have to have like a personal credit product, either a credit card, personal loan, whatever that you can get access to for you to actually be building a credit. But what if you are an international student like myself? When I first come here, no SSN, no credit history, and I couldn't even get a credit card, right? What does it mean for somebody like me or somebody in a similar position? So that's really the bottom of the issue that we're trying to curb.
So do let me know, like in initial days, this question came in my mind when you planned to launch, or when your paperwork were ready, and you were ready to go to launch this particular platform. What were some initial challenges to raise seed money? Because rising seed money is the most important thing in initial phase. So how you pitch your idea to VC companies or investors or any incubator center, did they support you?
I think one of the hottest topics as an entrepreneur, as a new startup, is always about funding, right? Like at what point in time, like how early, how big can you raise? And I mean, even I thought that I'll be looking down this road when I first started, and it has been a very interesting journey. In fact, I actually went through this whole journey, went back to the drawing board, had a discussion with the team, And, we took a very different approach, which I'm very happy to share about. So we've decided to go forward instead of jumping straight into the VC world. um, it's very sexy, right? Venture capital, have somebody to back you up. But of course, I think the most important bit that entrepreneurs have to remember is that the money comes with a set of terms and conditions. So as an entrepreneur, we take a lot of pride because, especially the ones who we roll our sleeves, we go on the ground to understand the problem. We're very close to the problem. We're not in love with the product, we're in love with solving the problem as much as possible. My principle has been to build fast, build scrappy, and keep iterating. So it's not really about the money, it's about getting the early adopters. So that's one for me, building your base organically better, and also gather your paying customers. I think reaching a point of positive revenue and next like profitability, that would be SmartFin's focus rather than going straight for VC. So that has probably, I think that's probably is the biggest learning for SmartFin, like our little team of today 5 people, that we have had out of this journey that we have taken. We were in the accelerator program at Johnson, and we are also in the startup studio program at Cornell.
So, in this is a time of a rapid fire round, and now I will going to ask you some rapid fire questions, and you have to answer them very quickly. You are a morning bird or night owl?
I am a morning person. The early bird gets the worm.
Any application that is improving your productivity on daily basis?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit shy to admit this, but I like to just have conversation, with like Gen AI application. So I'm not going to name names, but there are like top 3 that I like to use just to compare the answers.
Uh huh. Okay, that is pretty impressive. Do let me know any superpower you wish you had.
I wish I can be invisible sometimes.
Okay, okay. Any secret talent that nobody knows about yourself?
I don't know about Helen, not that, gifted in that department. But for some reason, I do have very interesting like travel stories. So, for example, I bump into this was very random, by the way. I stumbled into Barack Obama in Milan, like once upon a time ago. It was really random.
So this is the end of a rapid fire round, and now we had discussed a lot of things and we have discussed a lot of problems. But now we have a time limit, as you know. So, but before leaving, I want you to give any message, any advice from your past experiences to youth, young, aspiring entrepreneurs.
Continue on your track, know where your North Star is, and put one foot in front of another. You will get there. Somebody told me this 2 years ago, and it is very true.
Thank you so much for your precious time and for your precious message. And I hope you will going to follow the advice of Ain Razali. And if you will follow these steps, I can guarantee you can become a successful person. Being a successful person doesn't mean that you are earning millions of dollars. Being a successful person means that you are helping, you are solving problems of a real person, real problems. So that's it from today's podcast. We will be going to meet you in the next podcast. Till then, take care and do subscribe to the channel. Keep daring, keep listening, and keep watching us.